Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. It's 20 to 8 on Thursday and I can promise you that this looks darker on the camera than it does in real life. I can see perfectly well for all of those who worry about me. It's very kind of you to worry about me, but really, you really don't need to. The sun isn't rising yet as it was yesterday, but it will come. It will come from that direction. We might not see it this morning, but I can promise you the sun will rise. So in yesterday's video, I didn't want to theorise, I didn't want to speculate, I didn't want to talk about anything really to do with the case other than to, I don't know, give some points for reflection. You know, it's 6 months to the day yesterday since Summer disappeared, and it's been frustrating in the lack of information that have come out from law enforcement. I can understand why they don't give updates, because this is a difficult case. There's very few leads, and the TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, are working with a difficult timeline. Now, they'll have phone data, they'll have GPS data, all of those things back, and there'll be things that they know, things from social media, you know, from Candice, Dawn, grandmas, H's even, social media, that we're not privy to. I think that's one of the reasons why it's led in the last 6 months to lots and lots of misinformation. Some of it well-meaning, people who believe that they're doing the right thing, that they believe that they've found something that no one else has. But unfortunately, in some of those cases, it's led to people who are completely innocent having their life ruined. You know, there's 16-year-old Ethan from a few weeks ago, you know, who supposedly had the red Toyota Tacoma that was seen in the Beach Creek area either the 14th or the 15th of June. They don't even know whether that sighting was on the day that Summer disappeared or not. But it's the only sighting, it's the only thing that the TBI had to work with. People have latched onto it. Personally, I think it's a red herring, but that's just my personal opinion. The TBI did give an update yesterday, just a very brief 1 minute, 35-second update. So let's just discuss that a little bit. Now, I know this is going over old things. The TBI didn't tell us anything that, if you've been following the case all along for the last 6 months, there's nothing new in it. There's nothing new in it. I posted it anyway to the channel if you want to go and listen to it. It was Leslie Earhart from the TBI who gave the update. But there are new people in the case. Since Dr. Phil, since Don and Candice went on Dr. Phil, there has been a trickling, I wouldn't say it was an influx, but a trickling of new people into the case who have just started to realise that, you know, on YouTube and Facebook and Reddit, Twitter, there's been people talking about this case, theorising about this case, speculating about this case, and are trying to get up to speed. And now we've got a new team involved who are taking an interest in it. Molly Golightly, Bullhorn Betty, JLR from Twitter, and Chronicles of Olivia. And they're new to the case. I think Molly did cover it a little in the early days, but they're new to the case, so they need to get up to speed. And I'm not saying that what they're doing isn't welcomed in some ways. New eyes on the case is good. It's always good to have new eyes on the case. That's why in real criminal investigations, you know, they switch teams sometimes. You know, partway through an investigation, if there's no new leads, if things are starting to go cold, they'll bring a new team in and they'll go right back to the beginning. I mean, literally right back to the beginning. They've done that in William Tyrrell's case, which has resulted in a month-long search for him. even though he disappeared from his foster grandmother's home in 2014, September 2014. They haven't revealed anything. I mean, I saw a news report a few days ago saying that they're winding down the search. They found a few kind of fragments of fabric, but there's a professor of, I think it's anthropology, who's assisting with that case, who's saying after 7 years, given the soil composition, given the acidity in the kind of the groundwater, etc., William's bones will most likely have disintegrated, which I found really surprising. And he said that the fabric from his Spider-Man costume is likely to have survived longer than his bones, which is really, really sad. But it's a stark reminder of how the environment can literally destroy evidence. I hope we do get answers in William Tyrrell's case. You know, he was only 3, bless him. But in relation to Summer Wells, what I don't want to see is a similar situation where literally the environment just swallows her up. I know it sounds just so horrible, but it's a fact that nature does clear away very quickly, clears away dead bodies. I know this is a horrible topic, but we've got to discuss it, guys. If Summer's been lying in the mountains somewhere for 6 months, you better believe that there's not going to be much left but bones. So it's a difficult task. We'll talk about the TBI update in a sec, but if she's wandered off, as in William Tyrrell's case, it's likely that her clothes will survive longer out in the harshness of nature than her body will. So there is lots of theories. I mean, lots of theories. Some of them I really don't take seriously. And in my recent Truth in the Hills series, where I went right back to the beginning, I kind of laid out 4 possible theories. So we've got abduction from the property. We've got she wandered off and something befell her in the environment, or she was taken. She wandered from the property, but then she was taken by somebody. That's an option. Accident, and then the parents sold her, or there was some kind of trafficking transaction going on that went wrong. Now, there are other theories, you know. There's even a Bigfoot theory, which I'm sorry guys, I can't take seriously. But the TBI update from yesterday, Leslie Earhart said, as they've said previously in previous updates, there is no sign of an abduction. But I guess they're keeping their mind open, right? But there's no sign of an abduction at this current time. Now, Don Wells, Summer's dad, has consistently, multiple interviews. What's up with you? Aye, knocking my camera. She's made it all foggy. She's breathed on the lens. Is that clearing? Yeah, I think it is. Multiple times, Don has said, he's told the local news. You know, she went down the dog trail, one of the trails down to Ben Hill Road. She went down the dog trail. That's where the search dogs went. And someone took her. The TBI don't believe that. Sheriff Ronnie Lawson doesn't believe that. And I think Don Wells himself has been a major distraction. Is that the safest option he can give that directs everybody away from the fact that the parents might have been involved in some way? And when I say involved in some way, I don't necessarily mean that they directly had an influence on her demise. I've never said, and I don't believe, that one of the parents or the grandmother murdered Summer. I do not believe that they did. I do not believe it. Involvement can mean several things. It can mean covering up a death for whatever reason, if there was an accident. If so, where's the body? That's my consistent question to people who follow the accident hypothesis. Where is the body? I mean, we can explore some possibles if you would like in upcoming videos. We can explore some possible locations. I'd be speculating, but I'm happy to do that. I don't favour the accident hypothesis myself, but, you know, it's out there and a lot of people believe it. And who's to say it isn't true? We can't discount it. We can't discount anything at this current moment in time. The TBI, Leslie Earhart, said that they're looking at the possibility of foul play. I'm not sure what their definition of foul play is. Sheriff Ronnie Lawson has said previously that there's no evidence of foul play. But kids just don't disappear into the ether. Somebody knows something. Somebody saw something. And it's interesting that Leslie said, if there's anybody who hasn't come forward yet, anybody at all, she said, who saw Summer at any time during the day of the 15th of June, please come forward if you haven't done so already. Which, it was right at the end, and it's the most important sentence for me. The most important sentence, because it tells me that 6 months on, there is still gaps in the parents' timeline that they need to fill. And they might be able to fill those if more people actually saw Summer on the 15th of June. I think that is very, very telling. We don't know what she means. We don't know what gaps there might be in the timeline. From my perspective, you know, having no knowledge of what the law enforcement's investigation really looks like behind the scenes, for me, there are gaps in the timeline. But for them, that was very, very telling that they still need further information about that timeline. Does it mean that they don't believe Candace's timeline? Possibly. I did a video a week or so back saying the timeline becomes simple if you come at it from the premise that Candace is lying about their activities when they got home. She's lying that Summer was only missing 2 minutes before she went to look for her. She was just 2 minutes fixing Grandma's knee brace. I think we all know that's a lie. At best, it's an exaggeration. At worst, and most probably in my opinion, it's an out-and-out lie. Because Candace is responsible for what happened to Summer, even if she had nothing to do with her disappearance. She's responsible. She was the parent in charge, and she wasn't watching Summer. And I believe, and I've said it numerous times now, I believe that Summer was gone a lot longer than Candace realised. It could have been as long as 2 hours. So if we strip away what Candace said and look at the facts as we have them, the timeline makes sense. But that's not good enough for the TBI, who are building a case. That's not good enough for the TBI. They have to have solid evidence. So that's why they're asking for people to come forward who saw her at some point, and that could be anywhere. You know, it could be that they saw her on a trail cam that they've not released to law enforcement. It could be somebody who's scared of saying what they saw. It could be somebody who feels guilty. It's now time for those people to come forward. It's now time. You know, I'm sure there's many people in the local area who do want to help. And I guess those who really, really want to help will already have come forward. But there might be others who are involved in some kind of conspiracy of silence. Well, now is your time to man up. If you know something, if you saw something, if you heard something, it's now time for you to come forward and say what you saw. And that includes Candace. Candace, it's time for you to come clean on what really happened on the afternoon of June the 15th. Leslie Earhart also said that there is a real possibility that Summer just wandered off into the mountains. Well, I don't believe she would have wandered far. I believe that again, there's been a distraction from the parents saying that Summer would never wander off. Summer would never leave her swing area. She'd never leave that hill. I think that's nonsense. I think it's another distraction. I think whatever the parents say, think the opposite. People have believed what they've said. Whilst knowing full well what liars they are, they've still believed their timeline, which is just an oxymoron. It's oxymoronic. Right? You can't say that they're lying and then follow what the parents said in relation to the dog trail, or in relation to 2 minutes, or in relation to this or that. Disregard what the parents have said regarding the timeline and think about what they've said and then think the opposite, because it's a distraction. So if they say someone would wander off, then let's explore the possibility that she did wander off. And I've done that in recent videos. Now, I don't think she'd wander far. I really don't. I think she'd have wandered down to the creek, which is an easy route. It's not steep at that side of the property. Now, it might have been a little bit messed up at the time because the tree cutters have been there, cutting down trees, so there might have been logs on the floor or debris. But still, for an agile 5-year-old, it might be a great place to go and play. So, disregard what the parents say and open your mind to the possibility that she might have wandered down to the creek, with Candice being completely neglectful and not knowing what time Summer and maybe the boys went out, having no clue what her kids were doing for maybe 2 hours. And then something befell her. That something could be a tragic accident. That something could be that someone took her. I would argue the latter, or else surely by this point her remains would have been found. I know there's lots of cave systems and things in the area. I think perhaps the closest caves have been searched, I assume. But if someone took her, if someone spied the chance and took her, because that creek is an open area, could explain the footprints on the ridge in the opposite direction to Ben Hill Road. The TBI have said all along the last time she was seen was outside of her home, but they haven't been clearer on what that means and who said it. I speculate that it's her brothers that said that. We don't know what the boys have said because they're minors. We need to protect them as law enforcement are protecting them. Rightly so. But is it her brothers that saw her outside? Is it her brothers that left her? It's not their fault because they're little kids. It's their mother and their grandmother who were the responsible adults. Were they so neglectful that something tragic happens to Summer and they have no clue? And they've spent this entire time deflecting and lying, which has hampered the investigation. But there are many other possibilities. And like Leslie Earhart said, they're exploring every possibility. It's demoralising, it's discouraging, but we've had our time to reflect now, and it's time to now move on. Ignore the distractions, ignore the people who've been sent to deliberately misinform us, and crack on with looking at the real facts, exploring theories that are viable, ignoring distractions. And that's all I've got to say. So I shall bid you farewell here. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington. It's goodbye from Miss Cassie Springer, who's probably run off down the ginnel there. So I better go and find her. She'll come once the treat bag comes out. I shall see you very soon. Bye, guys.